video from former Dodgers pitcher Julio Urías' September 2023 domestic violence incident has surfaced, casting a harsh spotlight on the World Series champion and his actions following a soccer game. The disturbing footage shows Urías, once celebrated for his prowess on the mound, running aggressively toward his wife before violently slamming her into a fence. The confrontation, which occurred outside BMO Stadium after a match between LAFC and Inter Miami, paints a troubling picture of the escalating altercation between the two. According to earlier reports from TMZ Sports, law enforcement sources had already disclosed the shocking details in the days following Urías' arrest. In the video, the 28-year-old pitcher can be seen approaching his partner from behind, wrapping his arm around her, and forcefully shoving her into the nearby barrier. As the footage unfolds, it becomes clear that the situation was more severe than initial reports indicated. Urías is seen pulling her hair and even swinging in her direction, though it remains unclear if any of his punches connected, given the chaotic scene and attempts by bystanders to intervene. Despite the efforts of witnesses to defuse the situation, Urías continued to act aggressively until security personnel arrived on the scene. It was at this point that he was separated from his wife, though the video abruptly cuts off before showing any further interaction. The intensity of the argument was said to have been triggered by Urías taking photos with female fans outside the stadium, a move that reportedly infuriated his wife and led to the violent exchange. The aftermath of the incident was equally harrowing. Sources close to the investigation revealed that Urías' wife had sustained visible injuries, including a bloody nose, strangulation marks, and redness on her face. These disturbing signs of physical abuse underscored the severity of the altercation and led to Urías' swift arrest at the scene. Charged with felony domestic violence, the pitcher was subsequently taken into custody before posting a $50,000 bail to secure his release. The release of this video has further complicated Urías' once glorious career, potentially jeopardizing his future both on and off the field. This incident follows a previous domestic violence suspension Urías faced in 2019, which casts an even darker shadow over his recent actions. As the legal process unfolds, questions surrounding his accountability, the response of the MLB, and the broader implications of domestic violence in sports are likely to intensify. Julio Urías, once a rising star in Major League Baseball and celebrated as a World Series champion with the Los Angeles Dodgers, ultimately faced legal repercussions for his violent actions in the September 2023 domestic violence incident. In the months that followed, the legal system meticulously reviewed the case, and Urías found himself confronting a series of charges that stemmed from that night. Despite his public persona as a professional athlete, the gravity of the situation could not be overlooked. By the time the legal proceedings reached their conclusion, Urías was facing 5 separate misdemeanor charges in connection with the altercation involving his wife outside BMO Stadium. The incident, which had already shocked the sports world and raised significant questions about domestic violence among high-profile athletes, took on greater legal weight as details of the event emerged. The video footage, witness testimonies, and law enforcement reports painted a comprehensive and troubling picture of Urías' behavior that night. His aggressive actions, forcefully pushing his wife into a fence, pulling her hair, and attempting to strike her, became central to the case, prompting a range of misdemeanor charges. These charges included battery and related domestic violence accusations, each carrying potential consequences for both his personal and professional life. As the case unfolded, Urías chose to take a legal route often used by defendants seeking to avoid prolonged trials and potential harsher penalties. In May 2024, he entered a plea of no contest to one of the charges, misdemeanor domestic battery. By doing so, Urías neither admitted guilt nor professed his innocence but acknowledged that there was sufficient evidence for a conviction on that charge. The legal strategy allowed him to avoid the complexities and potential risks of a full trial, which could have brought even more public scrutiny and stiffer penalties if found guilty of all charges. In exchange for his no-contest plea, the other 4 misdemeanor charges brought against Urías were dropped, a common occurrence in plea agreements designed to streamline legal proceedings. The plea deal, while resolving the immediate legal matter, did not erase the severity of the situation or the public's perception of Urías. Though the remaining charges were dismissed, the incident left an indelible mark on his reputation, overshadowing much of his career accomplishments and raising broader conversations about accountability, domestic violence, and the responsibilities of public figures. The legal outcome also set the stage for further disciplinary actions from Major League Baseball, which has a policy of investigating and issuing its own penalties in cases involving domestic violence, regardless of the court's decisions. Urías' previous suspension in 2019 for a separate domestic violence incident weighed heavily on his future in the league. The combination of this latest conviction and his history meant that any punishment from MLB could be severe, potentially jeopardizing his career altogether. The resolution of the case in May 2024 did little to quell the discussions surrounding Urías' behavior and the broader issue of domestic violence among athletes. His decision to plead no contest may have helped him avoid the worst legal consequences, but it also left open questions about personal responsibility, rehabilitation, and whether he would ever truly be able to repair his public image. In the end, the legal battle may have been concluded, but the societal and professional consequences were far from over. Julio Urías, once a key player for the Los Angeles Dodgers and a figure whose talent on the mound earned him accolades as a World Series champion, now finds himself in a period of professional uncertainty. Following his arrest for domestic violence in September 2023, Urías has not returned to the field. His future in Major League Baseball, MLB, remains hanging in the balance as the league continues its in-depth investigation into the incident that has tarnished his career and personal reputation. Urías' situation is further complicated by the fact that he is now a free agent, adding another layer of unpredictability to his career trajectory. Without a team to back him during this tumultuous period, Urías faces the harsh reality that his arrest has not only sidelined him from the sport but also left him without a contract as he navigates the fallout from his actions. For a player who was once at the pinnacle of his career, this period of limbo is both professionally and personally destabilizing. While the legal proceedings reached a resolution in May 2024, when Urías pleaded no contest to a charge of misdemeanor domestic battery, resulting in the dismissal of 4 other charges, his future in baseball remains unclear. The MLB, which has taken an increasingly firm stance on issues related to domestic violence, has yet to render its decision regarding potential disciplinary actions against Urías. The league's domestic violence policy, established in 2015, has set a precedent for investigating off-field misconduct and issuing penalties that can include suspension, fines, or even outright bans from the sport, regardless of the outcomes of criminal cases. Given Urías' history, including a previous suspension in 2019 for another domestic violence incident, the stakes are particularly high. The league's ongoing investigation will likely weigh not only the recent events but also his past behavior, and any potential punishment could be severe. The possibility of a lengthy suspension or a more permanent expulsion from the MLB remains on the table as the investigation continues. Urías, who was once considered one of the brightest young talents in the game, now faces the very real possibility of his career being derailed by his repeated off-field actions. For MLB, the handling of Urías' case is emblematic of a larger, ongoing challenge: how to balance the professional achievements of its players with the ethical responsibility to hold them accountable for their actions off the field. The league has made it clear in recent years that it takes domestic violence allegations seriously, but each case brings with it unique circumstances that demand careful consideration. In Urías' case, the combination of his legal history and the gravity of the recent incident suggests that MLB is likely treading cautiously as it evaluates the appropriate course of action. In the meantime, Urías remains in limbo. His lack of a current team contract, coupled with the uncertainty of when, or if, he will play again, has left his career in a state of flux. For the baseball community, this marks a stark contrast to the Urías that fans had once revered, a pitcher who helped lead the Dodgers to their 2020 World Series title and who, at one point, was viewed as a cornerstone of the franchise's future. Now, his legacy is overshadowed by his off-field behavior, leaving many to wonder if he will ever get the chance to redeem himself in the eyes of both the league and the public.